Hey, happy Friday. All right, so like I say here today, I'm just going to dive straight in. There's no warm up. Um, what I'm going to be talking about today is temporary change versus permanent, lasting change, and the importance of enjoyability when it comes to losing weight and getting fit. Okay, and to support this idea, I'm going to be using 1 Corinthians 9:25, and it says, "Everyone who competes in the games goes into strict training. They do it to get a crown that will not last, but we do it to get a crown that will last forever." Okay. So what Paul is talking about here is the pre-Olympic games in Greece. Okay. The athletes would go into strict training and the eating routine. And oftentimes, like, it was super extreme. And the reason they did these extreme things is because they wanted to get additional advantage so they could possibly win, right? And as a side note, do you know what the winner got? You know what they were competing to win? An old withered piece of celery shaped in the form of a wreath. I think that's hilarious given the diet and health theme I'm pushing today. But like I say here, I digress. Really, they were competing for what the wreath, the celery thing, represented, being the best at the event and the glory and honor that comes along with it. Okay, which is awesome, even inspiring. Now, once the games were over, okay, did the athletes stay in a strict training and eating routine? I'm guessing no. They most likely, like the rest of humanity, once the event is over, they returned to their old habits. Okay. Why? Because training and eating like a crazy person is not enjoyable, thus, it's not sustainable, especially if you just ramp up and do it all at once. Okay. When they returned to their old habits, what happened? Their bodies transformed to reflect those practiced and repeated habits. Okay, and like their old habits replaced their quote unquote new habits, because really those new things they were doing weren't habits. They were just like, you know, splashes and and I'm trying to think of another word for something in flashy and shiny. Okay, they weren't real. They didn't stick. Okay. In short, the athletes trained and did insane things so they looked and performed like Greek gods for a couple of days. However, like the wreath that they were competing for, it withered and faded away quickly because they hadn't developed the habits to support that way of life. Okay. Many times, or how many times has that happened to you or a friend? Yo-yoed down, doing something really extreme, and then yo-yoed back up because it wasn't a habit. You couldn't sustain it. It wasn't enjoyable. Okay, why? Because you, like the athletes, what you were doing isn't enjoyable, and thus it isn't sustainable. Okay, so when it comes to losing weight and getting fit, it's about doing what is enjoyable and sustainable over time. Okay, and by time I mean lots of time, like years. Okay, um, so what's it's about developing the habits of who you want to become. So lean, thin, healthy people have lean, thin, healthy habits. That is almost universally true, with some rarities for some weird medical issues. Fat, overweight, and unhealthy people have fat, overweight, and unhealthy habits. Okay. It's a simple and challenging truth that honestly, it even stings and hurts a little bit. Okay. So what's the answer? The answer is developing the habits of the person you want to become, one habit at a time. Okay. Too often, when people decide to get fit, they go all in. They go from zero training to daily training. They go from eating mainly junk to only eating chicken breast and celery, or they simply insert the next fad diet, whatever that is. But essentially, they go from one extreme to the next. Okay. They go into strict training, like the verse that I mentioned, and like the athletes above. Maybe they even go into, maybe they can get the wreath, maybe even they get to their goal weight. But after about 3 or 6 weeks, what happens? They wither up and fade away just like the wreath. Why? Once again, I digress. Because they didn't develop the habits necessary for those changes to be enjoyable, thus sustainable. Okay, I could go on and on about I keep circling around the same idea, but I think you get it. Okay, a habit-based approach to weight loss and training is a foundation is foundational for long-term success. Okay, especially if you aren't a type A person. Okay, type A people can get away with, you know what, I'm going to do this. This is going to be my new way of life, and I'm just going to stick to it. Type A people can get away with that. Most of the rest of the population cannot. Okay. So I hope and pray you have an amazing weekend and make choices that reflect the person you are becoming by developing those habits. Okay, one habit at a time. Every habit should last at least about 2 weeks. And go and be awesome, and don't settle for a wreath that will just fade away. Okay, think long term and develop the habits one at a time. And obviously, if you need help or support with this, just reach out. Okay, this is Kellen Lake with Just You Fitness. Send me a trainer, Gursky Fitness. Go and be awesome. Bye.